Hello, I'm Clinton Beck, founder of the Beck Empire. It's fitting that last week's meeting focused on artificial intelligence. I've been preparing this talk for over a month, and with the help of AI, I'll be sharing with you my story. I feel like I have lived 10 lifetimes already. So let's go back to April 24th, 1967, in Vancouver, British Columbia. I entered the world as Andrew Hammerton. My birth mother, caught in the most violent and traumatic of circumstances, I was lucky not to be aborted. She chose to keep me due to her Catholic faith. The trauma that she endured during this part of her life was horrific. The pain of the circumstances forced her to give me up for adoption. The first 6 months of life, I was cared for by Catholic nuns in a Vancouver Catholic orphanage. I met my birth mother in my 30s. She was a remarkable entrepreneurial woman who is now at the end of her life. I was adopted to Mervyn and Vonnie Beck in Surrey, British Columbia. They were simple, loving people, hardworking and tough. My father had just returned from Fort Hood, Texas, where he received an honorable discharge after being drafted as a tank sergeant in the United States Army. My father was a truck driver and my mother a homemaker. My family was poor and we lived in one of the toughest neighborhoods in Canada. From a young age, I realized I had to make money. If I wanted more from life, I'd have to get it myself. I pulled a battered red wagon through alleys and abandoned lots, digging for bottles and scraps others threw away. I sold those bottles for 5 cents, until one day an antique dealer stopped me, studied one, and paid $5 for it. In that instant, I realized the power of seeing value where others see junk. That was the moment. The treasure hunter was born. As a boy, my dogs were my true loves. Animals have always been a huge part of my life. At age 13, my father lost his job in the recession of the 1980s. My first and only job hunt of my life. I was hired by a Surrey veterinarian. It was a huge turning point in my life. I started working 7 days a week and still do to this day. I spent the next 8 years learning business and antiques from the veterinarian. He was a great mentor to me. My first office at 16 years old was a red 1966 Ford Fairlane 500. My first car. I loved the big trunk for doing deals and the back seat for recreational activities. I worked long hours at the veterinary hospital, ran my business out of the back of my car, and chased every opportunity I could find. I was also a captain of our community football team. Surrey football was very tough. You will note my number 69. I remember the day when they were handing out the numbers for football. The coach pulled number 69 out of the pile and paused. He said, "Only one kid on this team can handle that number, and that is Beck." It has been my number ever since. This was my number in hockey as well. I won the provincial championship in 1984 with the Surrey Bears football team. It was the highlight of my teenage years. By 17, I needed a real place to wheel and deal. That's when I found the Vancouver flea market. Among seasoned dealers and sharp-eyed collectors, I came alive, reading people, striking deals, spotting value others missed. The market was electric, and I felt something deeper than profit. I'd found my calling. The flea market became my classroom, my proving ground, and my first true taste of the business world I would one day master. 25 years ago, I moved to Edmonton with my second wife. I opened my store on 124th Street, and from that point just kept pushing harder, bigger and bigger deals. The hardest part of my life was making the first $10,000. I have doubled down thousands of times in my life, risking it all. I am fearless when it comes to deals and business. I feel it's been more of a blessing than a curse, as my gut instincts have always got me through. My risk-taking has taken its toll on my family as they see me as never being satisfied. Today, the Beck Empire comprises 5 Beck Antique stores located in West Edmonton Mall, St. Albert Mall, Sherwood Park Mall, and our downtown location on 124th Street. We also have a franchise location in Leduc and soon Rocky Mountain House in Red Deer. These stores also support the brands Beck Numismatics Rare Coin Dealers, Beck Gold and Silver Brokers, Beck Art Galleries, Comic Keep Collectors Comics, Beck Pawnbrokers, and Beck Estate Services. Throughout history, no one has ever been able to scale antique stores. You need qualified buyers to make purchases. It is difficult to continually find treasures. When I created Beck Auctions, my vision was to have a world class auction house that would draw the ever increasing seller base, being the baby boomers. I invested $100,000 into building a world class auction house. Unfortunately, COVID hit before the paint was dry on the walls of the auction house, and I lost $100,000 and we were out of business. If you can't have crowds, you can't have auctions. I was physically sick, not from COVID, but from losing such a pile of money. I remember coming home and realizing I had also just signed a $350,000 lease. After feeling sorry for myself for 24 hours, my killer instincts kicked in and I snapped out of it and started fighting. After making my landlord an offer she couldn't refuse, I was out of my lease. I didn't threaten to kill her, by the way. I traded her some beautiful diamond jewelry. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, as they say, and they have helped me out of many sticky situations in my life. From being a complete disaster to transforming into a juggernaut of the auction world. The Beck Auctions bidding app revolutionized the estate auction world with our full service estate liquidation program. Beck Auctions is the highest volume auction house in the world right now. Most auction houses do 1 to 2 auctions per month. We do 1 to 3 per day. Our volume and sales are increasing monthly and we are expanding rapidly. We have opened 2 new franchise locations in the past few months in Rocky Mountain House and Red Deer. Both locations are busy building auctions as we speak. Who would have thought that the complete collapse and failure of my first auction house, it would transform into the business monster that it is today? We are now processing 10,000 objects a month. This would have been thought impossible only a few years ago. This business, it's a logistical nightmare. Tracking thousands of objects every day, it'll turn your hair gray. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's a pressure cooker, sure, but I love every second of it. Watching these treasures roll in by the truckload, it never gets old. Every object tells a story. They've had a past, and now they're waiting for someone to give them a new life. That's my real job, finding loving homes for every piece. I believe each one carries its own energy, and when collectors are ready to move on, I'm proud to be part of that journey. At the back of the Beck compound is a tranquil campground I built this spring to store our new mobile command center. This gives our team the ability to tackle any auction in the province or country. I wouldn't be where I am today without my incredible family. They've stood beside me through every twist and turn, pouring their own blood, sweat, and tears into helping me build my dreams. I haven't quite mastered work-life balance yet, but I can say I have as much fun as I do work. This is my beautiful wife, Samantha, and my family. For the past 12 years, she has been my partner in every adventure. She has been my sounding board as I built an empire. We've explored much of the world, from vibrant coral reefs to tree houses in the Amazon and everywhere in between. I was lucky enough to find a true kindred spirit. We share a love of animals, theater, music, travel, antiques, nature, and Halloween. In fact, it is our anniversary on Halloween night. This is my first store in Edmonton. Each one of my stores is an adventurous shopping experience like no other. It's also a glimpse into my imagination. As a boy who frequented Vancouver's Gastown, I experienced West Coast First Nations and Inuit art and treasures. I love the history and legends of the Haida and Coast Salish peoples. I found their cultures both beautiful and fascinating. In Vancouver, next to Gastown, was Chinatown, another great place to find treasure and experience Asian culture. My imagination would go crazy as I walked through the narrow passageways of the shops. The fragrance of incense, the spices and foods were a feast for the senses. All my stores have great Asian antique treasures. I love the beauty and grace of Asia. I select only the finest cloisonné ivory sculptures of Asian gods and goddesses. I love everything Asian. You will notice that my stores also smell wonderful. I leave nothing to chance. I want to take my customers on an adventure that they will never forget. We broker gold and silver bullion, bars, and coins. We have the best prices in Canada on precious metals. We have enough stock to fill $1 million in transactions on a daily basis. Live buy and sell prices can be found at beckgold.com. My stores are a glimpse of what I imagined as a young boy observing the finest antique stores in Vancouver. I remember wandering the shops in Gastown as a teenager, dreaming that one day I would create the finest antique stores in Canada. Each one of my stores has a Zoltar machine, a magical fortune telling machine. I love medical historical artifacts. Each store has a wonderful selection of medical historical objects. We have amazing antique and historic jewelry, Victorian, Art Deco, and from days gone by. We purchase $20,000 a day on average of old gold jewelry. Most goes to the melting pot, but I try and save the most historic pieces for the collection. One day, I hope to open a jewelry museum in Edmonton. My stores are famous for historical military objects. I have a massive collection of weapons, regalia, war medals, flags and ephemera or documents, World War I, World War II. If you love one-of-a-kind historical artifacts, you will love my stores. Each object has a story to tell. Each object shares a story of history, both good and bad. My customers continually tell my stores are the finest they have ever seen. Once you explore my stores, you will see that my imagination is a part of every store. Now that you know the story, you can see how my life adventures have influenced every aspect of my retail creations. My stores are more than a store. They are a work of art. From uranium glass to baccarat crystal, from Royal Doulton to Lodro, my stores are my life's work. They are my canvas, where you can follow my life's adventures if you look closely. They are a feast for the senses and something truly unforgettable. I love being able to create experiences for my guests. The Beck Horror Museum started with me finding a massive collection of horror movie dioramas in the back storage room of an antique dealer who was closing his doors. When I saw them covered in dust and looking like they were ready for the garbage, I struck a deal and created the Beck Horror Museum. Even Alice Cooper and his wife were amazed at my creation. He came back 2 days in a row to see my store, which he described as one of the best in the world. As a boy, I loved to visit haunted houses. I actually like being scared. The only thing I love more than being scared is scaring other people. I loved Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and the Mummy. I watched shows like The Outer Limits and The Twilight Zone. My mind ran with the concepts and fantasies of these television shows and movies. Each diorama in my collection has been restored to its original glory. If you are brave enough to visit my horror museum, be sure to look into the locked cabinets. There you will see real haunted objects as well as macabre human creations. The haunted doll collection is probably the scariest and most haunted part of the museum. Be careful to not touch any of the objects, as you don't want to bring a poltergeist home with you. I hope you've enjoyed my story and the adventures that come with it. This Christmas, I invite you to visit my stores with your family. Come experience a shopping adventure like no other, full of warmth, wonder, and treasures waiting to be discovered. But don't wait for December. As Halloween approaches, be sure to stop by my home on 97th Street and 144th Avenue. You'll witness the most magical Halloween display. Until the clock strikes November, then, like magic, it transforms into a dazzling Christmas wonderland. Last year alone, we welcomed over 1,200 guests on Halloween night, and I estimate nearly 250,000 visitors throughout the season. It fills my heart to see the joy on children's faces as they wander through the displays. Just days after Halloween, we unveil our beloved antique Christmas decorations, a collection I've spent all year curating. Our stores become glowing tributes to the magic of Christmas, my favorite time of year. A little tip, last year we sold out of Christmas decorations by December 7th, so come early and don't miss the magic. Life for me has always been a daring adventure. It's been about dreaming and then bringing those dreams to life. And I can truly say, I've achieved my dreams. Thank you.